The latest reports coming out of the Zimbabwe's capital Harare suggest that the Zimbabwe army has offered a deal to the embattled President Robert Mugabe. Now, while there are several deals doing rounds, a picture courtesy state-owned publication Zimbabwe Herald has emerged. The picture shows President Robert Mugabe and Army Commander General Constantino Chiwenga engaged in a meeting. Media reports suggest that Mugabe has been given an opportunity to negotiate an exit deal, which includes state protection for him and his family. And according to SABC, Zimbabwe may have a transitional government with the sacked Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa acting as president for at least 3 months. The reports could not be independently verified by ANN7. Earlier today, 2 of the prominent Zimbabwe opposition parties, NPP and MDC, held a press briefing in Harare. Now, both the parties discussed the way forward for the embattled country. Even though Zimbabwe remains calm, the uncertainty over the political status still looms larger. In what appears to be a Sensing an Opportunity Act, MDC's leader, Morgan Tsvangirai, said that the country has been going through extraordinary circumstances. And he said the military are the only ones who can decide if President Robert Mugabe and his wife, Grace, receive immunity. Tsvangirai also claimed it is in the interest of people of Zimbabwe that Mugabe must resign immediately. And it would appear to be a veiled sarcasm directed at the army. Tsvangirai said, although the parties will follow what the army says, the army must clarify to the world how its action is not a coup.
Respect for rights, dignity, and one man, one vote. We respect the right of every citizen to vote freely, fairly, in electing a leadership of their choice. For this reason, the party urges all Zimbabweans above the age of 18 to register to vote, to participate in the crucial ongoing voter registration exercise. This is the only way, the only assurance that we can define the future democratic dispensation. For our neighbors, you all know what is happening, and I'm sure you will give solidarity to the people of Zimbabwe.
For the success of such collective engagement and dialogue, there is no doubt that we are in need of transitional arrangement that should attend to key issues of economic recovery and electoral reform processes. Our country's reconstruction and national healing process can only be a product of free, fair and credible elections which are to be held within a reasonable time post an agreed transitional agreement period. What divides us as a nation is smaller than what binds us. We ought to be bound by ideological underpinnings of social democracy, Pan-Africanism, decolonial thought and principles of a modern democratic developmental state. It's time to reflect as we seek to rebuild and reconstruct our beautiful country, our great Zimbabwe. Together we can make our country great. May God bless Zimbabwe. May God bless us all. I thank you.
The ruling ZANU-PF party here in Zimbabwe and the military are on a collision course. But just looking at the streets here in Harare, it appears as if it is business as usual. You'd think the citizens are oblivious to the fact that history is being shaped here in Zimbabwe. The leaders of this country and the military are behind closed doors having negotiations with regards to the succession race in this country. Behind me is what is called the Africa Unity Square. It is a very iconic place here in Harare. It is very familiar with a lot of citizens, especially with the civic organizations who gather there and protest about whatever issues that they have in Zimbabwe. Today it is very quiet, but just taking a closer look, right there is the Zimbabwean flag. It is in tatters and perhaps a reflection of the state of affairs here in Zimbabwe. Coming to you from Harare, Zimbabwe, for ANSA.
And these are the possible deals doing rounds in the Zimbabwean corridors. And as per reports, the first deal says President Robert Mugabe hands over power to his former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa. And former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa believed to be planning a transitional government which will include the opposition. And reports also suggest that President Robert Mugabe insists he remains Zimbabwe's only legitimate ruler. There are reports that Mnangagwa is expected to form a transitional government that would rule for 3 months, after which the country would hold elections. And his mandate, according to military plan, would include restoring the rule of law and stabilize the economy. And another report claims Mugabe has been given an opportunity to negotiate an exit that included state protection together with his family. And last but not least, there is another report saying that Changarai and Musavangwa are ready to enter negotiations to form a transitional government with former Vice President Emmerson Mnangagwa.